So basically she sets it up where he sets it up. He's going to come into town, when he passes away, and they have a shoot down, and he dies, and out of self-defense. But the police officer told me that it was not the guy Alex that shot him, he didn't even really get hit that hard in the head. So, and Alex, bless his heart, who passed away, he just thought he was doing a favor to his sister. He didn't really care so much, about Charles or this or that, but he just thought they have the shoot down and everything. And she grabs his phone and they fight over that. And then Tylee, her daughter, picks up the bat and tries to defend herself or hit him or whatever. She doesn't like him anyway. And she didn't like anybody. And so, anyway, they shoot him. And so I've talked to the police officer. He goes, she was really happy for somebody that just had her husband shot dead. She was like, oh, how are you? Da-da-da. She's real positive and upbeat. So she's told to move up to Rexburg. The Lord tells her, move up to Rexburg now. She takes Tylee and JJ with her. Tylee and JJ are up there. I know she's up there with both of them because I can hear them on the phone in the background while she's packing and moving in. And then she tells me, I don't know, within a week or two, that Tylee is now at BYU. She's up there at school. Huh. So I go up to visit her, and I see that Tylee is not there, and I said, hey, Tylee's, I mentioned again, like, Tylee went to BYU, and she goes, yeah, but she gave me this really creepy look. Yeah, it was creepy. It was like, yes, she's dead, really, and yeah, almost that kind of look. But then I didn't know what to think about it at the time. I was like, why do I feel creepy when she looks at me like that, And so anyway, then she tells me, I get there on September 23rd weekend, and JJ's missing. No, JJ's not missing, sorry. JJ's there, and she tells me he's a zombie now. And so was Tylee. Yeah, so people that are zombies, they don't end up staying alive. So I say, okay. She says, I'm just going to give him back to Kay, the grandmother. And I said, well, that sounds like a good idea. Then you guys can move on with your missions. Just tell her to take Kay. Do you think she'll take JJ? I mean, he's a lot of work. Do you think she'll take, no, yeah, I'm hoping so. I'll just have to make something up. I said, well, tell her you're sick or something and that you just have some illness and that you're not able to watch after him. So, she said, hey, he's a handful. And plus it's not her kid anyway, right? And so, right, she adopted him from Kay's family as a baby. Yeah, he was a drug baby, and so she adopted him as a baby. Yeah. Oh, wow. And she was a really good mom to him. She was really patient with him and very loving. I saw her; she's very loving to him. Wow. And yeah, she was hands down. She was a great mom, very patient with that kid. Wow. And so, anyway, so she told me, she's like, yeah, JJ is at Grandma's house. Yeah, she went. So after I left, and I saw JJ right before I left, and she said within a week or so, that he had gone to Kay's house, and that that's where he was. So then Tammy dies, and then she's in Hawaii when it happens, and I call her in Hawaii, and I say, hey, guess what? Tammy just died. Do you know this? And she goes, no, I haven't heard it yet. And well, what happened? What happened to Tammy? And she goes, well, she was a zombie 2 weeks before she died. Like, really? She goes, yeah, she was starting to question our relationship. She was wondering if he was having an affair. I said, oh. And so, and I said, well, how did she die? She goes, well, we just had to do what we could to take her out of her spirit. And I was like, okay. I'm thinking she said a prayer and her spirit went home. That's what I'm thinking, right? Then this is where it all changes for me. So then I get a call from Chad 2 days before Thanksgiving. Hey, Melanie, Rexburg Police is going to call you. Don't answer. And I went, what? And my stomach just dropped. And I said, what happened? Well, the police are over at Lori's house, and they're looking for JJ. And she told them that JJ was with you. And I went, what? And I'm like, well, I thought JJ was at Grandma's house. He's not there, is he? And he's like, no, he's not. I'm like, what? And I don't know. Honestly, I did not know what to think at this time. I was so shocked. My whole spirit was like, what happened? I was freaking out inside. And then I get a phone call from the police. Of course, I ignore it. And then Lori calls me, and she's like, oh, no, everything's fine. I just told the police with you and that you're going to take them down to Arizona. And I'm like, why? Like, what happened? And she's like, well, JJ was, we thought that JJ was going to get kidnapped by Kay, and so we're protecting him, and which is a lie. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, well, I got to go. And I just didn't know what to say. I was just so dumbfounded by it all. And anyway, so I go down to Arizona, and her brother's down there, just down the street from me, because he's marrying my friend who's in my ward. Her name's Sulema. And so I said, hey, are you around? And so anyway, I said, hey, let's meet. We need to talk. So I said, hey, Alex, I said, do I want to know what happened to JJ? And he says, no, you don't want to know. I went, what? And then he said, yeah, the police ransacked my house, took my guns. And I'm like, I wonder why they did that. I couldn't figure that out at the time. I just figured, they kept telling me that, they had a lot of bad people working for them, that now the cops are zombies. And so anyway, I'm starting to get like really creepy feelings. And then, so anyway, one of my friends, he was with me. He goes home and he calls me up, and I'm like, he's like, Melanie, I'm really worried about your testimony. I'm like, what? Why are you worried about my testimony? And I'm like, okay, I need you to be a friend. Let's talk. I said, okay, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about the zombie thing. What do you think? And he knew what was going on and stuff. And I said, I don't have a testimony of it. Like, I'm not sure what to think about all this stuff. And he goes, oh my gosh, me too. He goes, I just never have a testimony of Chad and Lori. And so all of a sudden, this heaviness that was on him was leaving him. Just the heaviness of he'd been trying to pray about if they were really who they were, and he was not getting an answer about it. And anyway, the heaviness leaves him. And it's David Warwick. He was the guy that was speaking of dreams and vision. He's been questioning all of this, because he's really had amazing visions, and he's like, this is really not comfortable for me, Melanie. Like, this is really jacked up. And anyway, we talked till 5 o'clock in the morning. So I call Sulema, and I'm like, hey, Sulema, like, what did Alex say? I'm getting a bad feeling. I'm not sure what to think about this. And she goes, well, I don't. She just told me what her testimony was of Chad and how he gave her a blessing, made her also part of the 144,000, and said she was translated too. And then she basically started having visions after this. She had a testimony of Chad that he was a real visionary. Oh, and so, anyway, so I said, well, what did Alex tell you? What happened? And she said, well, all he said to me was, you don't want to know. No. He said, they won't be able to be found. He won't be able to be found. I said, you know what? I'm not really feeling good about this, Selena. And she had just married him. And because, that Chad and Laura were like, get married, hurry, you're part of the 145,000, you need to get married. My brother Alex, you need to marry him. And so they got married quickly. And so, anyway, it was not good. And so I said, I'm going to have to call the police. Like, I'm feeling really bad about this. My gut is screaming at me, and I don't think Heavenly Father's, pleased with me right now. I go fly up to see David, because now I'm starting to feel insecure about how safety I'm feeling at the time, because I know he's up the street, Alex is, and I'm starting to feel uncomfortable with the idea of, now I'm going to report him to the police, and he can go to jail.
Right.
And so I just leave town and go up to Dave, and Dave just ministers to me like the whole week. I mean, he is there for me. And I am like heavy with energy, super heavy. And I tell the police, I said, I'd like to talk to you. And he goes, well, when you get back to town, I'd like to talk to you. And so I called up the Rexburg police. Okay, so I got to back up. I was speaking a whole bunch. So I called them, and then they said they'd talk to me later when I got back in town in Gilbert. So I decided to call Lori and Chad, and I recorded it. And I said, hey, why did you tell the Rexburg police that JJ was me when he was not with me? And she says, well, I just did that for your safety. I didn't want you to know where he was so that you would be safe. And, because, just the situation's really uncomfortable, and that, we're trying to take JJ and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, you told me he was going to Kay's house. And, yeah, well, we did that for your safety. And I said, you know what? I believe that you and Chad are being deceived. And I said, you're a core whore. And they said, well, you call me a core whore? And I said, yeah, this is like a core whore. And I said, this is like a core whore. And, carnal desires. That's why I did it, is because of the carnal desires. And I said, she goes, you saying I did this because of carnal desires? I said, yes, you and me know both, hun, that you are very carnal.